Heavy duty.
Heavy but light in some points.
That's true.
So this is Vomiting Rainbows. We're going to talk about two actually pretty happy stories and then one like Oreo cookie filling middle layer that's really depressing.
It's so depressing. It's horrific.
It's going to be awesome. So listen and like it.
Yeah, and you're going to find out what a clown tickler is.
Yeah, clown tickler. This is Vomiting Rainbows, episode 21.
We're winners. Blackjack.
We finally won. We're also old enough to drink now.
Yes.
So, and we do have whiskey here.
I did notice that, Doug. You walked in, you have a full bottle of whiskey, and he's like, I'm going to go party after this.
Yeah, well, you have to.
What's the appropriate thing? I mean, we're kind of older and distinguished gentlemen. I mean, when you go, is it a house party, I'm assuming?
Yeah, house party. Birthday house party.
Okay, so when you go to a house party, you show up with booze, right? If you show up with nothing, you're kind of...
Yeah.
Especially if it's a birthday.
Yeah, if it's a birthday, I feel like alcohol is always a welcome gift.
Yeah.
Unless, you really know something specific that person wants. Otherwise, you show up with something... and then you give it to them, and then they open it, and you're with all their friends, and they look at it, and they're like, what?
Yeah. What's the etiquette, though? Is it cool for you to open the bottle that you bring? You know what I mean? Or is that bad etiquette? You have to wait for them to open it? Or
Well, the one that I'm bringing is a really, kind of a rare scotch.
Yeah.
So that would probably be poor form. But if it were like white wine or red wine.
But I'm saying, do you open it, or does the host? What's the etiquette? Okay, so
Yeah,
what you're saying, you
you
give the gift. You don't open the bottle. It's up to the host.
No.
Is it cool for the host to open that up right
away?
away?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if he was like, oh, dude, I can't wait to try it. Then that's cool.
And if he doesn't, is he being stingy? Is he kind of being a dick?
No, I don't think so at all.
No. You save it for some other more important reason?
It's also...
like a drink by himself in the closet?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's kind of nice when people, grab it, and then they're like, I'm going to hide this somewhere because I don't want, people to, start downing it right away.
Yeah. Doug, thanks for this bottle of scotch. This is so rare. I'm going to save this till about 4 a.m. tonight when everyone else leaves. I'm going to drink it by myself as I cry in the fetal position.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome.
This is going to be good. So, yeah, this is Vomiting Rainbows. This is a podcast where I tell Mike some stories that he knows nothing about, and then he chews them up and spits them back in a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And these are some lovely stories that I have for us tonight. One of the things we talk about on the podcast, I think, a lot is clowns.
Yes.
I don't know why it's an ongoing theme. We broke the story about all the clowns, appearing in the middle of nowhere, shocking people and kind of scaring them all around the U.S.
We did break that story.
We broke that story, and then we broke the story that Heavy broke.
Well, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, I know 3 weeks later, my mom, who's in her 70s, was like, did you hear about these crazy clowns?
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you listen to our podcast, Mom?
Yeah.
You should.
Because you know.
Yeah.
So the clowns were doing all of this. It made it all the way to Obama's desk, and he actually mentioned the clowns, people need to calm down about the hysteria around clowns.
Yeah.
And he also cautioned people not to dress up and try and scare people as clowns unless it's Halloween.
How would you say pretty much 90% of the sound bites about Obama talking about clowns is going to be in the next Insane Clown Posse record? Right? I mean, those guys were just like, yes.
Dude, they have to. I mean, they should just do a song of all of the clown hysteria stuff.
Yeah.
Just a song around all of that. And they just make a video of that.
Do you know any juggalos or any juggalettes? Any of that? Are you familiar with that at all?
I did date a girl and we got romantical.
Yeah.
And I looked on her arm.
Yeah.
And she had an ICP tattoo.
Yeah. See, I think that's the thing is I don't really understand it. I know some people that are really into it, but I respect the passion level and I respect the dedication. Even if I don't understand, I don't really understand it. I know it's crazy, and most people that I know that are have that little hatchet guy, they're crazy people. They really don't care.
I definitely questioned this person.
Yeah.
After that, once I saw that, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but I am kind of fascinated by it and I admire it and I respect it.
Yeah. So anyway, there's this guy Matija is his name, Matija.
Sure,
let's go with Matija. Balovic. He grew up. He and his family grew up in Maryland. Then he moved, I think, to Washington. And Oregon. No, actually, Washington County in Oregon. And he, I guess, he and his wife were out drinking. After they got back home, he decided he wanted to go back out and drink. His wife said, "No, I'm not giving you any money. You can't go out, drink, take the car, any of that stuff." I'm guessing she might have locked him out of the house or something, because then he proceeded to start raking on the windows with a pitchfork or something like that.
Doug, I'm sorry. You're telling me that this guy was wasted.
Uh-huh.
She locks him out of the house so he doesn't go drink and drive?
Yeah.
Was the car parked inside the house?
No, I think she had the money too.
Okay.
I think he needed cash from her.
So he wasn't really that much, he didn't really want to get a drink because he could have hotwired the car and sold the car at the bar. Been like, hey.
If he had real dedication, I think he would have come up with another route to get the alcohol. But anyway, so much like anyone else who in that scenario who loses their shit, he much like The Walking Dead, Lucille the Bat.
Yeah.
He had a bat called what he deemed the clown tickler.
Yeah.
Yeah, does this sound like a good story?
Yeah, it does. I mean, this is the thing. If you name your bat and you don't play baseball, you're going to end up with a criminal record. I just hate to say that.
So
let's just put that out there.
They have children, and he wanted to assure his children that he could protect them from the clowns that would come and attack them.
Oh my God! Yeah.
So he made the clown tickler, which is basically a bat with a bunch of nails sticking out of the top of it, 8-inch nails driven through the top.
Yeah, those. Can you say 9-inch nails just instead?
I was literally. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, dude, why did you use 8-inch nails?
Yeah. It could have been so much cooler.
It would have been so much cooler if you used 9-inch nails, because in every one of them they say 8-inch nails.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
you could have called it the Pretty Little Hate Machine.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know this, but if you
would have to be one of the miniature bats, though.
Exactly, yeah, the little tiny one. If you put nails through a bat like that, that's considered like an assault weapon. Like it's the same thing if you had a machine gun.
Right.
It's super illegal to have. It's a felony to walk around with a bat like that.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah. So in this scenario, unlike many of our stories, luckily no one got hurt.
Amazing. What are the odds of that, Doug? A drunk guy with a bat called the clown tickler that has 8-inch nails driven through it, and he's wasted, and his wife locks him out of the house. How did he not at least lose an eyeball?
Right.
Unbelievable.
This was a very happy ending story where he basically she said he was holding it in a threatening manner. The police got there. He was taken into custody without incident.
Really?
He dropped the clown tickler.
They didn't have to tase him or anything?
They didn't have to tase him.
Oh, man. There's no video on YouTube?
No.
This is a letdown.
No, he just apparently wanted to drink more. They have pictures of the clown tickler on the police website, and they also tweeted a picture of it just because I think they were so enamored with the name clown tickler.
Yeah, of course.
Because he wanted to describe why he was holding this bat with
because those clowns that I read about in the news.
Yeah.
I listened to Vomiting Rainbows, and they were talking about them.
Exactly.
Got to protect my family, man.
He did damage his family's home with that pitchfork.
Well, he damaged his own home.
He damaged his own home.
Yeah, that's the problem when you're super blackout wasted and start destroying stuff. Is you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh, dude, that was my TV set. You kind of sometimes when you wreck stuff, you don't really realize now I don't have any kitchen chairs. This is awesome.
But the police didn't want to really describe it as a bat with nails in it.
Yeah.
So they said medieval style weapon. So, it definitely he had 2 kids. He wanted to reassure them that he could protect them from clowns. And this is what he came up with.
Just trying to be a good dad.
Good dad.
Come on, man.
He's Croatian-born construction worker.
Yeah.
Who grew up in Maryland. And now he's in jail.
How long is he in jail for attacking his own house with an illegal weapon?
Right now, he hasn't even been sentenced yet.
Yeah.
So this just happened not that long ago. Let me see.
I don't know if this guy should go to jail.
I think he was. If it was, this happened on the 17th, so today. So,
maybe that guy would.
Maybe last night.
I would handcuff him to his mailbox
Right.
Like with just like with a 12-pack just out of reach for like a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
Just
know.
make him sit there.
Yeah, and think about just think about what he's done, and then kind of come by and go, okay, man, knock it off.
Just to your point, he is charged with unlawful use of a weapon
On his own stuff.
On his
See,
own.
I don't know, man. This might be, I may be off here, but it kind of seems like in America, Doug, or at least the America that we're going to live in soon, you should be able to get drunk and attack your house with a bat.
Totally.
I pay my property taxes. What?
Well, I mean, you could attack it with a bat, just not with a bat with nails through it.
Yeah.
Unless they're 9-inch nails, and then it's kind of cool.
It makes it way cooler.
See, if he had 9-inch nails instead of 8-inch, it would have been way cooler.
And this would have been a way bigger story because Trent Reznor would have retweeted it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The record company would be like, dude, will you go on tour and
with him?
Yeah, with him, come out on stage.
With the clown tickler, just bring it out on stage.
And we'll have like a car for you to smash or something.
No, you just put up like a fake clown.
Yeah.
And then he it would be like a Guar show.
Yeah, we're gonna play March of the Pigs, but 3 times as fast, and just go at this clown mannequin, just go nuts, dude.
And then you just hit it with the clown tickler.
Yeah, go crazy.
Yeah, so I figure we start off with a nice happy story.
That was good.
Where everything turned out good.
I'm shocked.
I was a little depressed when I got here just because the second story I dove way in on, and it was just I couldn't understand it.
You got to know your limits, Doug. Like when you start going down that wormhole of horrific stuff on the internet. Like when your stomach turns like the 4th time, it's time to look away.
This was one of the ones. Remember the dark files? I have a file of these, and this one definitely was on the dark files. But before I came here, I decided to do the unthinkable, and I went down the wormhole. So I'll explain it to you.
Okay. I'll see if I can make sense of it.
So you've probably heard about this. There was a 12-year-old girl who streamed her suicide live.
I did not hear about this.
Okay.
Where was this from?
So here, she was from Georgia.
That is intense.
And she had been notorious on using this. It's called Live Me. It's not Facebook Live, but
sure.
It's
same principle.
Sure. And all these people were would comment on it, and she would mostly post videos of bitching about her family. She lived in a trailer, and her mom had posted a GoFundMe site because her mom was she made it seem like her mom was a chronic drug abuser. She's 12 years old, so it's hard to say.
Sure.
But
they don't really know what hard drug, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's a gray area sometimes if kids are young and innocent. They're like, I don't know, doesn't every mom shoot up?
Yeah.
Isn't that called a vitamin? They don't,
And,
sad.
And the other thing, too, is they were impoverished in Georgia, living in a trailer. The trailer, as she put it, she said she is lucky that she's not sick because
rat infested. Just
no,
bad.
It wasn't rat infested, but the trailer had a hole in it under her mattress, or beside her mattress in her room because there was water leaking out of the bathroom and they couldn't afford to fix the pipe.
Yeah.
So her floor was wet there and it had eaten through the floor and rusted out. And she even said that right before she posted a video, that a bird had flown up through the hole. Yeah. So, it seemed like pretty squalor.
Rough. Yeah, it's
squalor
rough.
living conditions. And, it's cold in Georgia right now.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I'm freezing in my room.
So people would be watching this video, seeing how horrible her life is. And what would they call it? Just were they supportive? Were they being jerks?
No one was really she got.
No one's like, hey, I have a piece of plywood I can lend you. You can put it over the hole. I mean, that's a pretty simple fix, dude. It's not
Yeah, I mean, and they had a lot of stuff. And she went into a trailer with her younger brother, and she shows this video of her walking around the property. And obviously, I spent a little too much time diving into this just because it was just so crazy that she decided to commit suicide.
Yeah.
In this fashion, so she hung herself from a tree outside of her mom's house, and it was like you watch her set this up, and this site she had about 1,500 people watching her set up, like tie a noose, set it up.
And no one like calls 911. Nobody like.
I
mean, whether you believe it or not, or realize it, like suicide is it's a crime.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so if you see someone like committing a crime, like especially something
or
that's devastating,
getting them help in some way, and
try. Like Jesus.
And a lot of people posted like, "Where is this at? Who is this? Can a bunch of people were posting things like, "Can we get her help?"
Yeah.
And I think she was getting comments, but they weren't on the video that was posted online.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like, heartbreaking that it happened that way. She went to school about 70 miles outside of Atlanta, and the real reason that she says she committed suicide is because she couldn't take the abuse from her stepfather anymore.
Oh.
So her stepfather apparently, as she put it, she had shown a video where she had like scars on her arm where it had scabbed over, and that's where her stepfather had allegedly taken a studded belt and was hitting her with the studs out.
Yeah, it's not cool.
No. And then he said, or she posted in a blog that her stepfather had tried to rape her.
I mean, this is so disturbing on so many levels because if she's going to school, teachers are mandatory reporters. Like if you see if a kid comes to school and has like cuts on their arm, you got to try to figure out what's going on. Even if you suspect it, even if you kind of go like, hey, I have a feeling there might be something going on. Like this girl comes to school with like loose teeth and black eyes all the time. Like,
right.
Even if you're wrong, like you should be like, hey, like if you have reasonable.
Back in the day when I was, back in the early, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, when I was a kid, my mom was called to school because I had black and blue marks all over my back.
Yeah.
Because, I was me and I would like run around the house and try and play Daredevil and stuff like that.
My parents, they told me that CPS came to their house. Someone, like a teacher had called for a checkup because the same thing. Like I fall down the stairs and break, my nose would be bloody or like whatever. Like just, and they were just like checking up on me. Which, to me, like, let me tell you something, dude. Someone knocked on my door and was like, hey, we need to talk to you about the welfare of your kids. I'd be like, sit down. What's going on? Like what's happening? Tell me. Because like if I'm negligent in some way or like all of a sudden, they don't wear shoes to school.
Yeah.
I want people to know like, hey, dude, number one, I give them shoes. They're choosing to throw them in a bush. But also to make sure they're okay. I mean,
absolutely. And that's what my mom said. She said she never felt like she just thought she explained it to the teacher, and the teacher asked me like what had happened, and I told her exactly what had happened, and my mom explained to her that's exactly what had happened. She said, well, maybe you need to look at the environment that he's playing in. And my mom's like, he's like a 6-year-old boy. I could put him in a foam room and he would still figure out how to like bounce and hurt himself.
Yeah. I think though, when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of supervision when I was a kid. And looking back, it's amazing to have both my eyeballs. I mean, like, dude, and I think, when I had kids of my own, like I'm way more aware of how barely, like just like the a paper thin chance that I escaped uninjured, like seriously injured throughout my childhood. So I'm a little bit more protective now. Like the one thing, it's so weird. Like no matter what we do, like if we're out like doing whatever it is, I'm always like, hey man, put on some safety glasses.
Yeah.
Like I went to Home Depot and I bought all these safety glasses.
Yeah. That's so smart. Like my dad,
like, God, man,
my dad would work in the wood shop or whatever, and I would be around him. And he wasn't aware of where I was, but he would have the goggles on. Yeah. And then every once in a while, I'd get hit by something. And luckily, it was never bad. But, it was definitely one of those things where you could say, come on.
I remember I was probably, 3rd or 4th grade. And I was helping my dad, he was chainsawing wood.
Oh, God.
And, I was holding, the wood down on this thing. And I remember I put my hand up to, scratch my head. And the chainsaw kind of went back.
Oh, God.
And just it was so crazy. It just I remember it was my left pinky, and it just the blades went ever so much, and started cutting my ooh, just the skin, the tiniest bit. And And I remember, and it was so close to my head, and I remember kind of being like,
Whoa.
and I kind of like I stepped back, and my dad like turns around, he's like, oh my God, and he's like freaked out because he lost, kicked back. And it was like everything was slow motion. But I mean, like that, it was like inches from like just, I don't know if it would have cut my head off, but, it would have been pretty, I could have easily lost a finger.
Yeah, I was watching some End of the World.
And that finger could hit my eye, and that's what I'm all do. At least I should have had safety glasses.
Yeah, if you had
you know what I mean?
Safety glasses on, then the finger wouldn't have put out your eye.
Yeah.
You could duct tape the finger back on, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I chainsaws in general, dude, just that link going around there and all the movies that you see where the link shoots off.
Yeah.
Those things scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and I've been in the garage, like, working with grinders and stuff, and, like, the discs will break, and they shattered a bunch of pieces, and, like, those things can lot, and my kids are on, I'm like, duck! It's like, it's...
Yeah.
It's okay if, like one lodges into, like, their cheek, but it's, like, their eyeball. I can never forgive myself.
Yeah. That would be, like a cheek scar. That's dope.
Yeah. My kids got scars all over them.
So anyway, like so all these people watched it, and now they're like,
it's horrible.
It's horrible. And now the family, the big thing that the family's saying, which just bugs the shit out of me, is they're trying to get the video offline. And once it's out there, you can't remove it. And they're like really mad at the police. And I'm like, be mad at like your child.
Yeah, your child's being abused by your stepdad.
Herself in front of your house, and you're worried about the video being online.
Yeah,
that's
And imagine this is, you said 70 miles out of Atlanta. This is a probably pretty small town. Like, I mean, the thing is suicide is such a complicated thing. It's so multifaceted, and there's multi-layers. There's depression. There's just so many different things that can contribute to something like that. But the fact is, like allegedly, this girl was pretty clear on what was causing her to be so distraught.
Right.
Focus on that.
Right.
Focus on that jackass you're married to. I mean, it's like, like to him, and that's the thing. Like to him, maybe he was whipped by a spike belt. So I'm just being a good parent. That's what my dad did. It's like, no, dude, like we don't live in like caveman times. You don't hit children. You just, you just don't.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if your dad did and it worked out. And you think it worked out for you because it didn't, because you're an asshole because you beat up a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? Like, that's not cool. It's not acceptable. It's not okay. I mean, there's that kind of unsaid thing, right? Like, kind of what we're talking about. Oh, when we were kids, like, things were different. It doesn't mean it was okay. It doesn't mean it was good. It doesn't mean that that's the way it should continue to be.
Yeah.
It's why we progress as a society. And if you're listening to this and you beat up children, like, you are such a big part of the problem. Like, and I don't care. I don't care about your past, because that's always the thing. Well, I got issues, and, the way I was raised was this. Like, no, dude, that's an excuse because you're too much of a pussy, and you have to take out your frustration on children, defenseless kids. Well, you're a piece of shit pussy, and you can't deal with reality and your problems like an adult, so you retrovert to some juvenile, ridiculous behavior. And it's damaging, and it causes situations like this, So be an adult.
Well, and the other thing too is like if you hear. So she posted a bunch of videos online about her toxic home life.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of mixed.
Are you going to be a runaway advocate right now?
No, I'm not. I just feel like it's like kind of a mixed bag on the videos I saw because she's clearly like goading her mom on.
Yeah.
And her mom keeps going back to the same thing. She's like, I asked you to watch your brother, and, he's running around the house like crazy, and that's all I'm asking you to do. And she's like, you do drugs, and you're a drug addict. And she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. But she is screaming at her at some points. And then she has like a little brother who... I'm guessing he's like 5 or 6, and he's like yelling at his mom, like, calm down.
Yeah.
And when you're an adult in a situation like that, and a 5-year-old is telling you to calm down,
you're out of control.
You're out of control.
Yeah, it's hard though. I mean, I parenting is difficult. It's a challenge. It's even harder if you decide to take hardcore drugs all the time.
Right.
You're not putting yourself as the adult in the situation in a very advantageous position when you're whacked out on drugs. It's way harder to parent. You know what I mean? It's hard to parent just as it is, and to keep your patience and to stay calm in situations where your kids are challenging you. But they're kids, and that's what they do. And you have to expect that. You have to expect them to be like, I don't want to watch my brother. I'm 12. I want to do other things. You know what I mean?
But the thing that really concerns me about like kind of this thing that happened is that it became so viral and so explosive that like everyone's talking about the method in which she streamed it live and like how disturbing it is. And that I feel like is disconcerting for the fact that like might inspire other despondent teens to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Instead of getting help. And there was a 19-year-old woman who said that she was abused by her ex-boyfriend, and she did this whole thing in Paris where she said, I'm going to stream my suicide live. And they actually tried to go to her house because they could figure out who she was.
Yeah.
But she had already gone to a metro station, jumped in front of a train.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
like you're saying, like this would be like the trend of 2017, like Suicide Live. It'll be a whole new thing.
Yeah, and it's horrifying to think.
It's horrific. I mean, listen, man, I'm telling you right now, the people who invented streaming on social media and stuff, it was literally so dudes could check out their girlfriends naked.
Yeah.
I mean, that like we have to be perfectly clear. We are coming from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, where this stuff was invented, basically. And the guys who programmed this stuff, the guys who invented this stuff, were just horny people that wanted to look at their significant others or some hot chick or some hot dude or whatever naked live in real time. That's why this was invented, not for all this other crazy stuff.
Exactly.
I just want to be perfectly clear. I mean, like maybe like all this streaming stuff, there should be like a disclaimer, like this is only to be used.
Yeah. These are the following things.
Yeah,
only inappropriate things that are here are naked.
Yeah, like exactly. If you're not seeing nudity on this feed, it's not being used for its intended purpose. Turn it off immediately.
Right.
Like they should be able to do that with the facial recognition, right? Like if they don't see like a butt or like a genitalia or like breast, like the Facebook facial recognition, they should say like there's no nudie naked parts in this video, and they should just turn off.
Yeah, just turn it off.
Problem solved.
Or the other thing too is when oh no, stop or suicide or things like that happen or like are mentioned more than several times in like a feed.
Yeah,
I feel like there should be like a help button, like get help right away on the app that says like
emergency 911.
Emergency. Yeah. Like this is an urgent.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Suicidal tendencies fan sites would be bummed though. They'd be all shut down.
Yeah, it just constantly flare up.
What?
What?
That's not a bad idea. Like, like an emergency button where it's like, hey man, like there's some, I bet that'll come. If this starts becoming a trend and as social media and live streaming and stuff continues to develop, I mean, it's going to be the purpose why these things were intended and what they end up being used for always vary greatly. And if things continue to become darker and darker like this, there will be.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's go on to a happy story.
Heavy story there, Doug.
So we'll end episode 21 on a relatively happy subject. So I don't know if you've heard of Gloria Williams.
Gloria Williams. Mm-mm. I kind of know that name.
So she was found yesterday, I think in Texas or something. I'm not exactly sure where they found her. She was
missing, right?
So Kamala Mobley was her daughter, and they found out that her daughter was actually abducted 18 years ago when she was 8 hours old.
Yeah.
And so she's 18 years old, and now she finds out that her mom is really her abductor. And her parents have been looking for her ever since.
Yes. Yeah. I did hear about this story.
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is
crazy.
And it's I mean, man, you want to talk about someone who needs to sit down on a couch and go through some therapy, because what I understand is that this girl, like the abductee lady, like basically like didn't raise her like super horrible, right?
No.
Like, like it's basically she was like a good mom.
They say that she was a churchgoer, very like active in the community. She worked for like a counseling center.
Yeah.
Her daughter was her daughter.
Yeah, quote.
Well, yeah.
Quote, yeah.
But was extremely well behaved, very like she
did a good job raising her.
From all appearances did a great job raising her. And I think this is more of a mental health issue because the woman Gloria who abducted her just the day before she abducted her, had miscarried her child.
Yeah.
So she miscarried her child, probably had some sort of mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Went into the hospital, sat down in the waiting room.
Yeah.
And befriended this woman who had just had or was just having the baby, or just before she was having the baby, and then made friends with the nursing staff as well.
Yeah.
And they all thought, the nursing staff thought she was part of the family.
Sure.
And the family thought she was part of the nursing staff.
You know what's crazy is like what if like this lady did this and she was totally blacked out? Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes there are traumatic events that happen in people's lives where they you know, it's like there's a gap there. And what if this lady like you know, had her miscarriage, went into like some type of traumatic blackout, abducted this baby, and then this whole time, like, and all of a sudden kind of came out of it maybe like 2 days later and was like, oh, this is my baby. Like, you know, and really like, is like, does she believe that it's her baby, or is she admitting that she took the baby?
It's hard. It's really, really hard to say because they haven't released anything that she's said so far.
Yeah. 'Cause that's the story I just said is what I would stick with.
Yeah. but the thing is she did the daughter and the mom saw each other after she was arraigned in court.
Yeah.
And somebody was lurking and took a video of it, and she like told her mom that she loved her and and that she, you know, she had prayers for her and all of this stuff in the like meat locker, in the like whatever the
meat locker.
The
what
meat
are you talking
locker,
about, dude?
whatever. The, you know,
what kind of courtroom have you been in, dude?
Yeah, prison, whatever area. And her family had her birth parents had actually been celebrating her birthday every year.
Man.
And the other thing is her father has been locked up in jail, in prison. Her birth father.
Yeah.
It does sound like the other
mom.
The other mom.
I mean, do you think? Let me ask you the question. Like, maybe this lady had the miscarriage, meets this lady, and he's like, "I'm about to have a baby. Like, you know, man, I hope I can kick my heroin habit. My husband's in jail. Like, you know what I mean?" And this lady's like, maybe in this lady's mind, she's like, "I'm rescuing this child from like a horrible life."
I'm sure there was probably some element of that, but it's probably more like, I don't have a baby. I'm
not saying she's right for taking the child. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just trying to.
I'm sure she probably rationalized it in some way.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put myself in her high heels, but trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but the other family is talking about how devastating it's been.
So when you're the kid, like, what's that like?
Imagine 18 years of your child being gone, and you celebrated the birthday every year.
That's my question. So if you're all of a sudden you get discovered 18 years, do you get all those presents? You know what I mean? They're like, dude,
totally.
like the family that you haven't been around is like, listen, we got a storage unit filled with all these presents from when you were 1. You want to go open them? Like do you get that? Like, is that
that would be kind of cool?
I mean, is that kind of like is that
kind of weird, but
part
cool.
of the deal?
Well, what about all the pieces of cake?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
she put one piece of cake.
I'd be like, I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's relive all 18 years in like 18 minutes.
Yeah, I know people who have been adopted and they found their birth mom or their birth family after and my friends now, some of them are in their 40s. Right. So they just finally kind of decided to try to pursue and reach out to their real families.
Right.
And they're 40. And it's kind of crazy. Like, it's kind of crazy. There's some of the stories and, both sides of the actual families that put the kid up for adoption. And then, obviously my friends who I know and kind of what their angle is on everything. But what's really interesting, if you're adopted and you think that your family just doesn't care, that put you up for adoption. This is my sample of maybe 3 people that I know that have had this happen to them. Or have been going through this, that those families that give you, they're still very interested in like how you're doing, and they're still very like, they want to know what's going on, probably because they need money,
right?
They're like, oh man, did you do anything with your life? Because I sure didn't.
Yeah.
And to me, like, part of me, I don't know. There's part of me where I'm always fascinated that people want to open up that chapter. You know what I mean? But I get it, because there's got to be a curiosity there that you just have to find out what the deal is. But I like to think that I would just be like, you know what? I'm okay right now, and I don't need to know. Like, I just whatever that is.
Yeah, I
think in the back of your mind, you're like, well, dude, maybe they own like an awesome like hotel chain or like maybe, you know what I mean? You know,
well,
it's normally not the case.
But yeah, I have a bunch of friends who did extremely well in startups. They did their own startups and have made fortunes.
Yeah.
And they're adopted and they want to go find their adopted family, but they don't want to reach out because they're well known. And it would be, is my family trying to connect with me because I have money now?
But this is the thing too. Like, so say you're like one of these tech bros and like you have like, I don't know, $800 million.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, and also you find out that your real family is like a bunch of, like they just never amounted to much, and they're all like living in a trailer. You know what I mean? Like, I think it'd be cool, like to go in there and be like, hey, man, like I want to help you out. Like I'm your son, man. Like, I think you definitely have to talk to your accountant and have like a limit on that.
Right.
But I mean, if you were rolling where you just had, your generations and generations and generations and generations of your kids were pretty much set. Like maybe instead of buying like another like, yacht and a helicopter for that yacht, maybe like you buy like them like a gas station in like their small town and just say, hey, man, like things worked out cool for me, man. Thanks for the genetics, yo.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
I think there's a lot of mixed feelings there because a lot of people would be like they'd
want to go on your yacht and party.
No, but they threw me. They threw me away. Like
they literally they could have thrown him in a dumpster.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, obviously they put him up for adoption because whatever reasons. But but it's still a lot of people feel like this.
They were discarded.
Yeah, like discarded.
And then they want to come onto your yacht and your helicopter. You're like, no, dude, I just bought you a gas station in your small town. You're not coming to my fancy party. Lose my phone number.
Or they're like, thank goodness you like let me go. Like you gave me away because my life turned out fucking awesome because my adopted parents were amazing.
We're awesome. Yeah. And I always think that's got to be kind of weird too for the adopted parents, right? Like you're kind of like, why do you want to go find those people? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And,
like I'm the one that changed your diaper. Come on.
I'm going to show you two pictures, and you tell me if you think these are suitable parents.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And then just literally at the exact same time, Kimberly and Kelly Yates were found as well, and they were two children that were abducted when they were, I think, one like roughly a year old, and now they were found in Texas also, but they were abducted by their mom. And their mom lived under an assumed name, and her mom has had a warrant out for her arrest since 1988.
Huh.
And
are these kids cool with their mom?
Oh, totally.
Their birth mom.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like sometimes like I think I've talked about this before on the podcast when I hear about kids getting abducted. Like I always like to think like it's a good parent getting their kids away from a really horrible parent.
That's exactly what the situation was.
And I don't know if that's true. I don't know what the statistics are on that, but that's kind of like what I like to think. Like it lets me go to sleep.
Well, yeah. I mean, and this guy, the husband had cheated on the mom. And he said he struck her, and then she left with the kid. So it sounds like, in this scenario, if they really she has two aggravated kidnapping charges against her, which is really, I think that's really a stern. If she gets prosecuted, like the book thrown at her, I think that's going to be extremely unfair.
It shouldn't be aggravated. It should be like kind of like semi-disgruntled. Like take that down a couple notches because like she did it to save the kids. Probably. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
but they put her mom in prison for only 8 days, but still
it's
and as they said in the article, they said making her do light janitorial work, but she was basically and every day the judge would bring her back out and say, "Tell us where your daughter is," and she refused to do it.
Yeah,
she said, "I don't know."
Yeah, because I don't want that monster around my kids, the guy that used to beat me.
Exactly,
and protecting my children.
So.
Interesting stories, Doug.
So these are the happy stories.
Those are.
So
in a weird way.
all of them except for the middle one. The middle one was just that one put me in the dumps. But the one where I think all in all it was pretty good. Vomiting rainbows. So obviously, please like us on Instagram, Facebook. We won't stream anything live until next week. We'll try that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, and then Twitter, we're under We Vomit Rainbows on all social media. You can email us at contact@vomitingrainbows.com. And, comment on anything.
Have we got any more emails or anything, Doug?
We haven't gotten a lot of feedback.
Emails, okay.
No, we need to get some more feedback.
Feedback, people. Let's go.
All right. Thank you.